Toy making time again. Actually, it's toy making time quite often around here. It's one of the things I really enjoy making. This one is titled a moving van. It's just a box truck is all it is, and it comes from toymakingplans.com. I've mentioned them before. I'll give a link at the end of the description, but toymakingplans.com is not hard to forget. That's what it will look like. There's, besides the truck, you can make some packages to go into the truck. There is a diagram that shows you how to put it together, and as you'll see, it's not very difficult anyway, but it's all there. And another page which will give you the parts list and a little diagram of what it looks like, and then top view so you can see exactly what it looks like. I've made this before. I will, I'm sure, make it again. I have a retail store and I sell online, and as I said, I've made this before, and the parts are all simple, so I did what I do often on this type of an item, and then I made templates out of masonite. That will be the body of the truck. It's one of those. This will be the front of the back, the front of the cargo area. It's one of those, half-inch thick, two sides, half-inch thick each, and top and a bottom, quarter-inch thick. So you have 2, 4, 5, 6 parts plus the wheels, which I buy, and so that's all you've got. And some of them are. There's 2 of, so altogether I believe it comes to 10 parts that you'll need to put this together. But let me grab some stock and we'll start laying this out. I'm going to make this out of poplar because I'm going to paint it. I'll paint all of them. I'm down to 1, and I believe I can get 4 easily out of this wood. Maybe, let me see. I'm just going to do a rough outline for now, because this wood is a little bit on the rough side. I'm going to have to trim it or run it through the thickness planer. Yeah, I'll be able to get 4, and actually I'll have some left over. I'll whatever. Oh, I can make some of the packages out of that extra. So I can get 4 out of a section that is a little bit less than 18, so we're gonna make it 18, and we'll rip it to width afterwards. This is 6/4 poplar. For those of you not real familiar with hardwood nomenclature, 6/4 means it's an inch and a half thick. I have a radial arm saw, which I used to do my cross cutting. I'll do that first. Hearing protection, this thing is noisy. I'm going to run this through the thickness planer just a couple of times to get the rough top and bottom taken care of. It's a whole lot faster than sanding. And now both edges are rough. I'm going to run it through the table saw, rip just a little bit off the one side to make it smooth, and then I'll rip it to width. I used to use a combination blade, but since I have a radial arm saw and a miter saw, I use them now most of the time for my cross cutting. Leave the rip plate inside the fence, or inside the table saw, I'm sorry, and it gives a really nice smooth cut. I do a lot of resawing as well, and you want the rip plate for that. Again, hearing protection. Alright, I laid it out with 2 on this side. I'm going to put another 2 this way, and measure that. If I rip it to 5 1/4, that'll give me the width I need to get both of them out of it. I got 4 truck bodies laid out on that piece of poplar now. I'm going to cross cut it so that it's not so long. It's hard to work with really long pieces. On a scroll saw. Once again, we'll go to the radial arm saw. Now we need 3 5/16 inch holes for the axles for the wheels, and we need a pilot hole drilled in each of them, each of where the windows will be, so we can cut out the windows. And I'll go over to the drill press and do that. By setting up a fence, I know that each one of those holes is going to be exactly the same distance from the bottom. If you eyeball them and one of them's a little bit off, then all the wheels might not touch the ground the same way. So that's what I'm going to do here. And this drill press is equipped with a laser sight, so I can tell exactly where the hole is going to go. Let me take care of those. I'm using a backer board so I don't get tear out on the back. You don't have to do this, but I've had times when I've had wheels a little bit off, so now I'll just take that extra little bit of time. To make sure the holes are lined up. I'm going to move the fence out of the way. I need pilot holes for those windows. And I've already got a bit in there. It's bigger than I need, but it's not too big, so I'm just going to go and use that. There's 2 trucks on each one of those blanks, the holes for the axles and the pilot holes for the windows. I'm fortunate enough to have 2 scroll saws. This is a PS wood scroll saw. I'll give you a link to the company after the description. There's a better depth between the table and the blade holder than most saws. I have a number 12 blade in there. The number 12 is also from PS Wood. It's a super sharp blade, they call it, and it does a very good job. Cuts quickly, and so let's do one of these. There's the truck body. I'll go back in a minute and cut out the window. Alright, let's thread this through. Tighten up the blade holder and make the cut for the window. There's the window, so that is all there is to cutting out the truck body. Just one interior cut and one long exterior. The next thing we'll be needing will be the 1/2 inch parts. There's 2 sides for each truck, so that means you're going to need 8 of these, and 1 front for each, so there's 4 of those. This wood, I got some 4/4 poplar here, and it's wide enough it'll handle both of those parts. So what I need to do is decide what the length that I need. And this is 4/4, so it's about 1 inch thick. But I'm going to resaw. Once again, we'll make the cross cut. Now we'll move over to the table saw. Okay, that is ripped now to 2.5 wide. Do them at the miter saw. There's my 8 sides. The parts for the moving vans are all cut. They need a little bit of sanding. There's a little bit of a spot there where I started to cut. Alright, I've got one whole set of parts ready here. There's the bottom, 2 sides, and front. That's it. Nothing complicated, just simple butt joints. So let's put some glue on here. I use white glue. Do the sides of that. And actually I need the top too on this one. Put it at the back. Might have to adjust the position just a little bit. Fingers work fine for applying glue for this. Now the 2 sides, you'll just need glue on the bottom and the top. Well, the 2 long edges. Actually, probably be a better way of describing them. Just put that on with your fingers. Top goes on here. That's it. Pretty simple. You're going to want some clamps. I'm going to put one in each corner. Glue is dry on the first box for one of the trucks. All I need to do is add it to the back of the truck, and so a little bit of glue on this area here. Center it, and a couple clamps. Got a truck finished here. I've got a little homemade spray booth here. There's a Lazy Susan, so I can get all sides of whatever item I've got on there. And then I'll paint this and move it out of the way so I can paint some more items. Use a mask when you're painting. I have an N95 mask here. The blue van is done, both coats of paint. I took some 400 grit sandpaper and smoothed out a couple of the places where it was a little bit rough, but it looks good. The last step is to add the wheels, and I measured it will take 2.5-inch axle. Sometimes these are a press fit and they're pretty tight. This one is not, so I'm going to go get some glue, put a couple drops of glue in each of those. So I will put just a little bit of glue on the edge of the axle on one side. Put a little glue on the outside edge of the axle on the other side, and put another wheel there. You want to make sure you don't get any glue where it's going to stick the wheel to the body of the truck, obviously. One thing you'll find out working with dowel rod is that the size can vary quite a bit. That's 1/4 inch, but when I tried it against a hole gauge, it was really tight for 1/4, but that's a little bit loose on the wheels. So obviously the hole for the axle inside those wheels was a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch. So that's something to keep in mind whenever you're making toys. As little discrepancies in size like that can make a difference. So the blue one is done. I'll let that set for a couple hours, and that'll be ready to go. The red truck is ready for the paint on the bottom side. We've got another one glued up that will be ready to paint for the first coat of paint, and then another one I will be able to finish the glue up tonight. Then the 4 trucks will be ready. Tomorrow I'll show you the finished products. 2 trucks are done, the red and the blue. There's the red and there's the blue. You can see they roll nicely. What these are meant as a package truck or a moving van, and so each one of these is going to get half a dozen or so boxes to go in the back. Kids will have fun for hours playing with these, taking those packages out, putting them back in. I know my grandchildren had a lot of fun with them, so I'm sure your child or grandchild would be the same. And there we go. That's the red and the blue. I've got 2 more to finish. One's going to be green, one's going to be yellow, but other than that, they're the same thing. I'll give you a link in the description to the plans from toymakingplans.com if you'd like to make one or more of these yourself. And the wheels came from Cherry Tree Toys. I'll give you the link to Cherry Tree as well. And if you want to build one, it's a pretty good project for a beginning scroll sawer, because there's nothing really difficult about it.